Okay, I'd like to share with you just a few of some of the great many books that are out there for jazz education. And this book is not really jazz. This is a little different. This book here, The Technique of the Saxophone, Scale Studies, Joe Viola. This is not it's not jazz, but what this is the way you would learn scales, okay? And this is one of the reasons why I want to talk about this book, is because if a student comes in and I'm teaching and they have played their scales just up and down, and that's it. When I tell them to improvise on a scale, they go up and down. And then if I say, okay, well, you're playing the scale the way you know it, and you only know it up and down, it's not much of a shape to do a lot with unless you're really inventive. Put some rhythms on it. So what they'll do is they'll play short notes and they'll go up and down, but change the rhythm. And what's happening is their shape of just up and down locks them in place. They can't break out of it. So we'll teach other things that you could teach, like your scales and thirds, scales and fourths. There's all types of ways to do it. And there are quite a few books out now that give you different ways. But this book has been out for a while, and it's specific to saxophone, even though anybody could really use it. But this is a saxophone book, so this isn't really applicable to everybody. But for saxophone, if you learn your scales from this book gives you so many great shapes that when you go to improvise off a scale, you're armed with all this great this material. And he goes through everything. So he'll give you the scales, will be full range. Start on the root, top of the horn to the bottom, back to the root. A lot of people have done that. Okay, that's information. Then he'll give you running scales. C major, go up and down, boo, then hit the next mode. D minor, boo, then E Phrygian. So you're going up and down according to the mode, but you're still in C. And everything's written out. It's really clean. It's a perfect book for someone who's learning. So instead of, if you're going to buy a scale book, this is the one to get, because it gives you the basic thing, but it also gets you going on some other shapes. It'll give you scales with, it'll shift scales, it'll flip scales. You go up one scale, you go down another. Have you do you'll play the scales in triads. C, E, G, E, ba ba dee do, bo ba dee do, bo ba dee do. That's a great shape. I'll have you play the scales in sevenths. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, ba boo ba. 1, 2, 3. So in other words, you just go up the mode playing seventh chords. Then you go up the mode and you play ninth chords up and down. Then you go up the mode and you play 11th chords up and down. Then you go up and down the mode in 13th chords, starting on each step. So before you know it, you have all this shape. You have beautiful shapes. And once you start to alter rhythms, and you can group them in certain ways, and he even gives you some exercises for each scale that kind of does that for you. At the end of each scale, he'll give you a rhythm that's kind of just unique for that one exercise, using the drill you just did, and you did in even eighth notes. And what he'll put in a lot of, he'll just give you the notes in eighth notes. This isn't in 4/4, none of that. It's just gives you the notes. You put it. You can make this a triplet. You can make this in groups of 5. You do it with a metronome, and you're going to get some great shape. So, students who have gone through this, and I know I didn't go through this book when I learned. I found it later. But I have a couple friends I know who went through this book, and man, their technique is off the charts. They can do anything with the scale because they drilled it a million different ways, and that's really what's happening here. If you have an opportunity to play on the scale, it's going to be a rare moment if you create a lot exceeding how you've drilled it. Okay? If you play it up and down, up and down, up and down, and that's all you've done, you're not going to play the scale in sixths real fast if you've never worked it, let alone get that and shape it. So this is the way to go. If you want to learn scale saxophone, Technique of the Saxophone, Scale Studies, Joe Viola. If you learn your scales from this book, the way he shows it, and like I said, there are other books out there, but this one really lined it up. To make the step from this to jazz, it's not even a step. you're already working the shapes you're going to use. And it gets your chops together for classical too. It's not a jazz book. It's not a classical book. It's a scale book and how you can drill it. Do it with a metronome. Keep it even. You'll have real command over the info. Great book. Wish I had it when I was a kid.